Good evening, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Google+. This is Rich again, back for your third and final video blog of the night for Monday, July 11th, 2016, around 8:20 in the evening, Berwick, Massachusetts. The sun's going down. Going to be a comfortable night. Tomorrow, going to be in the 80s, but humidity tolerable. But beginning Wednesday, hazy, hot, and humid. Oppressive dew points by Friday. Some news to report. The Angels are down a slugger. C.J. Cron, the outfielder, first baseman, designated hitter, is going to be out 6 to 8 weeks because he broke his hand. That's not good. The Angels are in last place in the AL West. Tonight's the Home Run Derby on ESPN from Petco Park. And that's about it on news. My third and final video blog subject of tonight's my personality profile. Tonight's personality profile is WWE Hall of Famer Jimmy Jam Garvin, gorgeous Jimmy Garvin. Jimmy Garvin was in the world of sports entertainment for over 25 years. He was known for being part of the Fabulous Freebirds in WCW from 1989 through 1992 with Michael P.S. Hayes. Also, he was a great singles wrestler in many southern regional territories for years. Jimmy Garvin's real name is James Williams, and he started his professional wrestling career as a teenager in 1968 in the Tennessee area under the name of Bo James. There's actually another wrestler called Bo James, but that's a current wrestler. And in the early 70s, Jimmy met Ronnie and Terry Garvin, and they were the unofficial brothers. And Jimmy had dyed his hair blonde with his brothers Terry and Ronnie. They're not really brothers at all, and Jimmy was their manager. They wrestled in several southern regional territories. Jimmy Garvin and Ronnie Garvin are related because Jimmy Garvin was once stepfather to Ronnie. And Jimmy, after teaming with his fictitious brothers, wrestled a lot for championship wrestling from Florida, winning a few titles, like the tag team titles down there with Carl Cox. Also, he wrestled in Mid-South area, winning the Louisiana State Championship and a few other regional territories. In 1982, he turned heel, and he was managed by James J. Dillon. He won Southern Heavyweight Championship, had a feud with the American Dream, Dusty Rhodes, and also he won tag team championships in Florida with Big John Studd. And then James J. Dillon gave Jimmy Garvin a present. It was a valet called Precious, but this was the original Precious, not Jimmy's wife, and who was also named Precious. And gorgeous Jimmy Garvin continued to wrestle in championship wrestling from Florida until early 1983. Then he left the territory to wrestle for world-class championship wrestling. He got another valet, Sunshine, that was his cousin, real-life cousin. And gorgeous Jimmy Garvin feuded with David Von Erich. They had a long-running feud, and a couple of skits had Jimmy Garvin doing work with Sunshine on David Von Erich's farm, washing the dogs, getting hay, stacking it. It was a great skit. And from time to time, Jimmy would team with Michael P.S. Hayes and Terry Gordy and Buddy Jack Roberts, and he was kind of the unofficial for Freebird. After a while, Jimmy feuded with Chris Adams over the America's Championship, and Jimmy fired Sunshine and hired another Precious, but this was his real life wife, Patty. And Patty and Jimmy's been married since 1972. Patty's Canadian. And they, like, Precious and Sunshine got into a lot of cat fights. Jimmy Garvin and Chris Adams' feud was very red hot. They switched to America's Championship for a few times. It culminated in a mixed tag at the David Von Erich Memorial Parade of Champions in 1984. In the summer of 1984, Jimmy Garvin and Precious left the world-class championship wrestling territory to go to the AWA. They were in the AWA for a year and a half. Gorgeous Jimmy Garvin feud with Rick Martel over the AWA World Championship, and eventually gorgeous Jimmy Garvin formed the tag team with Mr. Electricity Steve Regal, and they became AWA World Tag Team Championships, beating the Road Warriors, with the Fabulous Freebirds interfering. Jimmy Garvin and Steve Regal held the Tag Team Championship for approximately a few months before dropping it to Kurt Hennig and Scott Hall, and then Jimmy Garvin and Precious went to Jim Crockett Promotions Mid-Atlantic Championship Wrestling, and that's where he spent, the remainder of his career, which, Jim Crockett Promotions Mid-Atlantic territory evolved into World Championship Wrestling. Jimmy, in 1986, feuded with such stars as Wahoo McDaniel, in which Jimmy Garvin called him Yahoo McDaniel. They had lots of Indian strap matches throughout the Great American Bash in 1986, and then Jimmy feuded with Brad Armstrong and formed the tag team with Bill Dundee in early 1987. Jimmy turned face when Jim Cornette threw a fireball at his brother Ronnie Garvin, and Jimmy saved Ron, and they turned face, and then the Garvins feuded with the Midnight Express, and also Jimmy Garvin had a feud with Ric Flair over the NWA World Championship because Ric Flair was making advances on Precious, and they had a match at the Great American Bash. If Ric Flair won, he would date Precious. If Jimmy won, he'd become the NWA World Champion, and they had a classic match. Jimmy Garvin sold a knee injury there, and Ric Flair put Jimmy Garvin in figure 4 leg lock, and Ric Flair won, and he had a date with Precious, but Precious was not Precious. It was actually Ronnie Garvin in disguise. Jimmy Garvin then feuded with the Varsity Club, Kevin Sullivan, and Mike Rotundo in 1988. Kevin Sullivan was, stalking Precious. This feud culminated at the Tower of Doom and Great American Bash 1988 when Jimmy Garvin's team won, which included Dr. Death, Steve Williams, Ronnie Garvin, and the Road Warriors. Jimmy Garvin left the NWA for a while in September of 1988 after he sold a broken leg injury to Mike Rotundo and the Varsity Club. He came back to NWA, which evolved into WCW in June of 1989, minus Precious, back as a heel, and he was part of the Fabulous Freebirds with Michael P.S. Hayes and Teddy Bam Bam Gordy. He was nicknamed Jimmy Jam, and Michael Hayes and Jimmy Jam became NWA World Tag Team Champions, beating the Midnight Express at the Clash of Champions, June of 1989. They held the belt for approximately 6 months before dropping it to the Steiners. This version of the Fabulous Freebirds kind of turned to a mid-card heel comedy tag team, which, that wasn't great for the Fabulous Freebirds at all, my humble opinion, but that's WCW in the early 1990s. They feuded with the Rock and Roll Express and the Southern Boys to see, and / Young Pitch those to see who was the best Southern tag team. They were also color men on WCW Pro Wrestling with Lance Russell, and it was kind of underrated. They're like commentating. Also the Freebirds added a manager, DDP, and Big Daddy Dink, Sir Alpha Humperdinck. They actually defeated Doom for the WCW World Tag Team Championship at Wrestle War 1991, but dropped it to the Steiners a couple of weeks later. Was actually a negative title reign because the Steiners match would tape a couple weeks prior to Wrestle War 1991. Then Jimmy Jam and Michael Hayes won the U.S. titles a couple of times. They actually turned face in late 1991. There were plans for the Freebirds to break up and feud with each other, with Michael P.S.A.'s going heel and Jimmy Jam becoming a face, but those plans fell through when Jimmy Jam Garvin was fired from WCW in the summer of 1992. Jimmy Garvin got a tryout with the WWE in the fall of 1992 at a TV tape in Indiana. He was wearing a three-piece suit and he was kind of favoring the heels. There was rumors that Jimmy Garvin was going to be Doink the Clown. And there was even a rumor he was going to be a heel announcer, but that did not become to be. He probably would have probably had the spot Jerry the King Lawler had. And Jimmy Garvin actually retired soon afterwards for a couple of years in wrestling. He became a airline pilot. He actually flew to the arenas during his time in wrestling. He kind of made a comeback in 1994. He had a kind of a good match with Johnny B. Bad. He cut his long hair short. Then he went to the Global Wrestling Federation to revive the Fabulous Freebirds with Michael P.S.A.'s and Terry Gordy. They won the Global Tag Team Championships a couple of times, and Jimmy Garvin was set to restart his feud with Chris Adams in Global, but Global folded in September of 1994. Then Jimmy Garvin kind of retired from pro wrestling for good. He wrestled on occasion for charity. He became a full-time airline pilot, and he's appeared in many wrestling conventions. He's appeared in a lot of WWE DVDs and on the Legends of Wrestling series on the old WWE Classics on Demand. And in 2016, Jimmy Garvin was inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame as part of the Fabulous Freebirds. Jimmy Garvin's career in pro wrestling was pretty good. He had a great run, especially in wrestling for World Class and the AWA, kind of when he went to Crockett, Mid-Atlantic, and WCW. I think his talents were a little bit misused, and putting him with the Fabulous Freebirds in 1989 was a decent move. It was kind of the unofficial fourth Freebird when it was World Class, but this was the time when the Fabulous Freebirds were kind of going downhill and being no more than a comedy tag team, in my humble opinion. That's about it on Jimmy Jam Garvin. That's about it on these video blogs: Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Google+. Tomorrow, you're going to get 3 more video blogs. First video blog will be about the top 10 best 3-point shooters in NBA history. Second video blog will be about the former TV game show Take It All, which was in the Christmas time 2012, hosted by Howie Mandel. And third and final video video blog of the night is my personality profile. Tomorrow's personality profile will be about WWE Hall of Famer Michael P.S. Hayes of the Fabulous Freebirds. Like I always say, keep calm, everybody. I'm a Julie Button guy. Wally Roseblood with WCCO accents, nice legs. Elizabeth Hatso, so stunning, she's the best. Amy Swensey's awesome. Barbara Gibbs of ABC11 has a sweet southern accent. And Linda Church is such a cool guy. And Julie Donaldson of Comcast Sports Mid-Atlantic and NBC Sports Network is the best in my TV sports quest, and she's got nice legs as well. And good night, everybody. See you tomorrow, for friends.